Well, good morning. Good morning. Look at this. I don't think we've seen this in a long time, but it's actually sunny. And we are at Damrell's, our friends here at Damrell's, Steve and Mark and all the team. They're open. Come down and visit them. They've got Hondas, Suzuki's, Yamahas, a whole host of different bikes. And today we have got this Tenere 700. So we're going to have a look at this. And this is one of those bikes that we've been waiting to review for quite some time. It's one of those bikes that you could use for a trail riding, weekend hack, take it kind of anywhere. Road riding as well. It's got a decent tank, about 16 litres. It's got about 54 kilowatts of power, about 68 newton meters of power, and it's only about 204 kilos, which is insane compared to some of the bikes that we ride and some of the bikes that we own. Our bikes are really quite heavy, but I love the colour scheme, and I think this is going to be one of the first Yamahas that I've ridden. So that will be interesting. It's got all the usual refinements that a Yamaha would have, but really excited to ride this one. And look at it. I love the colour scheme that they've got. It's simple, but it stands out. It's quite high. We'll put the figures on the card on the video when we're out and about, but I think it's probably looks quite high, but when you move it, it actually sits down quite a bit. So if you think about the height of the bike there and then put it on the stand, it will rise up on the suspension. So it's kind of not as high as you would imagine, really. But I'm eager to get out on this bike, and I'm sure you are eager to get me out on this bike as well, do a bit of riding, see what it's like. Then we'll stop and have a chat about how we've got on. What's it sound like? Hear that? Wow. Nice. Nice. Right, let's see what it's like to get on. Oh, not bad, not bad. Now I have got, bear in mind on my adventure, I can get both my feet flat. I can get both my feet flat on the ground here, just. Seat's very hard, first thing I've noticed, very, very hard, but it's really thin. So I don't think I'm gonna have much of an issue, really. I think it's gonna be quite good indeed. Nicely laid out in instruments, so I can see what's happening. It's almost like a big old tablet, like an old mobile phone stuck there. But we shall see what it's like. It sounds gorgeous. That sounds lovely. And it's rocking about a little bit. So see what that's like when we're riding. A lot of travel on the suspension, but there's a lot of features with this bike. One in particular, because I can't remember everything, but one in particular is that there's a 50-50 weight distribution on this bike. And apparently we were talking to the guys at Damrell's, and they were saying that one of the first things that Yamaha said about this bike when they were shipping the bike to Damrell's to sell was that it had a 50-50 weight distribution, kind of 50 front, 50 back, to make it easier to wheelie. Now, all of you guys out there that would do wheelies on the roads, I'm not an advocate of that at all. I don't see why people would do that. However, it makes it easier. But thinking about taking it off-road and going over rocks and going over different obstacles, that's the reason. So you can see the obstacle coming up, and if there's an obstacle that you need to get over, that 50-50 weight distribution is going to allow you to quickly flick it up, get the front end over and get the back end back over as well. So if I take both my feet off the floor, actually it's really, really well balanced, and that's not going anywhere at all. Both feet off the ground, really, really nice. So let's go and see what it's like. Oh, it's got a nice pickup. Brakes are good. Pedals are in just the right place, and that's literally just riding out of the dealership. Out on the open road. The first thing that I've noticed on this is the beautiful seating position. And I don't think I've said that on many bikes at all. I can't remember saying that on any bikes actually, how comfortable from the very, very beginning that this bike is actually to sit on. It feels that it's just the right height. It's very light, a lot lighter than my BMW, because this is only 204 kilos. And it just feels effortless to ride. The power's there. All of those newton meters of power and all the torque and all of the cc's working together to pull you up to get you to speed. And we're going to go onto the dual carriageway. So let's get out onto the dual carriageway and see if we can get up to speed. Because Mark's on a bit of a slower bike, so it might take a little bit longer to get there, so bear with us, we will. But I'm really impressed with the power that this thing's got. So there is nobody behind me, just so nobody says that I'm doing anything dangerous on the dual carriageway. Down to 50, that's in 6th gear, open the throttle, and instantly up to 17 miles an hour. That's really, really good. Now, I said about the seat being hard, and we've been riding it for a bit. We took it out before, before we were talking about it this morning, and I thought the seat was going to be really hard, but after riding it for a little bit, actually it's really, really comfortable. My buttocks, if you like, are just in the right place. It's just wide enough to hold the whole of my bum, and some people will say that my bum is absolutely massive. Don't disagree, but it is January, and we have been eating a lot of stuff for Christmas. However, it sits really comfy on the seat, which is really, really lovely. I've noticed that the pegs have got rubbers on them to get rid of any vibrations that there might be, but when I was doing 70 there, no vibrations in the foot pedals or in the pegs or on the handlebars whatsoever, which is really, really good. Slow speed manoeuvring is really good on this thing, really good. Now, apologies about the sun. Well, I'm not going to apologise about the sun actually, but the camera might have a few difficulties picking up exactly where we're going and what we're doing today, because we have to ride towards the sun so that we can get some decent roads in. So, as I was saying, foot pegs got the rubbers on there. Keep your feet in the right place. Obviously, you can remove the rubbers if you were doing off-roading or green laning or something. And with the seat height and the seat position and the peg position, my legs they feel like they're at 100% right angles, if that makes sense. They're not overly squished, they're not overly I'm not overly reaching for the pegs either. It's just a really comfortable, nice place to be. Now obviously we're getting probably quite a lot of wind noise going across the camera, so I'm hoping that you can hear everything that I'm saying. This tiny little screen, it's not giving me any buffeting at all. Obviously I'm getting a lot of air across my shoulders, across my helmet, but it's evenly distributed, and that screen is doing a perfect job of dissipating that wind that's coming across. The only thing that I have noticed is that the road is slightly wet. It's quite cold today, even though it's a beautiful day, and I'm not moaning at all, but getting a little bit too close to Mark, and obviously the spray from the road is coming up and the screen isn't big enough to then protect your visor from getting all of that crap all over your face, really. But this has got oodles and oodles of power, and the way that I'm sitting on my top half, my back's really quite straight, so this is kind of more in keeping with the way that I would ride on my adventure. I don't feel, I've got no weight on my wrists at all, not one bit. I feel really quite upright, and the handlebars are just the right width apart. I don't feel that my hands are too close or too far apart. Shoulders feel really comfortable, and going over all of these bumps with this hard seat, actually is really nice. It's one of those seats that I think is quite deceptive, that it looks and feels really hard, but actually when you're sat there, it's holding you in place in the right way and not bouncing you about. Now the suspension on this bike, as you would imagine, if I dip the front brake now, it's very, very spongy, but it's catering for a whole host of different things. But hear that power, you know, and in no time you're up to speed. It's a very, very, very accomplished bike, to be honest. The throttle response is really defined, actually. It's all done by wires and not fly-by-ride, but if I come off and on, it is quite jerky. However, it's not as jerky as some bikes that I've ridden, and a lot of it being jerky is down to not being used to riding the bike. So, up front, what have we got? We have got a display that has got, and it's funny how in 2020 some of these manufacturers are sticking to a basic screen. And I think there's a big call for that as well. You know, as motorbikes and cars are getting much more advanced, there's much more information on there to take the concentration from the rider and driver to the screen. And that's it's kind of good to see all that stuff on a screen, but it's kind of having an adverse effect, if you like, because people are more interested in what's on the screen as to seeing all this stuff around you and riding or driving. However, the screen in front of me has got everything I need it. It's got a massive, great big display for the gear selector, massive display for the speed, and it's got the rev counter that goes up and around, which is really good. Down the bottom, you've got a fuel, got some horses here. Down the bottom, you've got a fuel display telling you how much fuel there's in there, and just above the speed, you've got a clock. It also pops up with this eco thing, which I think is telling you when you're riding in an eco fashion. Nice wave from the horses, riders even. But having said that about the display, it's in the right place, and I know that I say it a lot with motorbikes that some displays you have to dip your head down, whereas this is allowing you all of the experience, all of the riding experience to stay with you. So you get the information that you need when you need it just by dipping your eyes, because those numbers that you're looking for, the speed and the gear, and for some people the rev counter, is in exactly the right place for you to be able to see without any effort of fishing around with your eyes to find it. And it looks quite rugged as well. That display looks as though it's quite rugged. Like the whole of the bike, it fits with how the bike is. So up front, on the control front, we have, on the left hand side, we have flashes at the front, flasher button. We've got the on off for the lights, indicators, horn, and a hazard switch. All standard stuff, really good switches. You get a real good feel when you click it so that you know that you have used those switches. On the right hand side, you've got a kill switch, a different selection switch, which if I move it, selects different things on the screen and resets different things, which is good. And then you've got your start button at the bottom. Still got a key. I like keys, they're good. You haven't got to keep changing the batteries when they say it's low, and you know that you've got it in the bike because the bike is running. None of this fishing around in your pockets looking for a key that you haven't got, even though you have got it. Up the front, just below the screen, you've got a outlet for power, which is really good, and presumably the other side, it looks like you've got a blanker, so it might be that there's an opening for you to be able to expand that and have another power outlet there if you wanted to. That's it at the front. The tank, because it's quite thin, I think it's something like 16 litres, but again, we'll put all the figures up on the card on the video. It's still going to have a good range because this is going to have quite a good range on the tank, purely because of the engine that's there. You know, I think you could ride this bike however you wanted to. If you're a hooligan on the bike, and I don't mean that in a nasty way, but you like to get the best out of your bike, you're going to really enjoy this bike. The power, the fun, I think it delivers quite a bit, to be honest. I've not found that I've been fishing around for the controls, they're just in the right place. And then we have the mirrors. They're a really nice shape, and I think that they fit with the aesthetics of the bike. And they're also in the ideal position. I've only got perhaps 1/4 of an inch as I'm looking of my arm, which is good. The rest of it is everything that's happening behind me. Really, really good visibility. And it comes with things like the hand guards. They are plastic. So obviously if you're going to be doing a little bit more off-roading and riding in places that you might need to rely on those to protect your hands and the bike a little bit more, you might want to invest in bark busters or something like that. However, they do help to keep some of the cold off your hands, which is brilliant. This bike is so flickable. I mean, look at that. It's really quite a confidence-inspiring bike, actually. Wherever you point it, it's going to go. And I know that people say that about lots of bikes, but this is really, really light. It's evenly distributed along the way. You know, I really, really like it. Oh! Well, I was hiding because the parking warden had come. Parked by the no parking, but for some people that say, oh, we do happen to pick some of the worst places to review bikes, just pan round, Mark. Could this not be more beautiful?
Look at that.
Anyway, enough about all that.
Hang on, before you start, I will actually mention that at the gate over there, there's a load of shotgun cartridges.
Yeah.
Been a bit of a shoot here.
Anyway, we'll be quick then, shall we?
Absolutely.
Great bike. Bye.
Yep.
Now, I am with the Yamaha Tenere 700. And it's not the sort of bike that I thought I would like. But like Mark would like a hack, I would like a hack too now. Never knew that I wanted one. However, I really, really like the bike. Now, riding it, it almost felt like a 125. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, 125s are great. But it's so flickable. It's only like 204 kilos. Flick it around everywhere.
204 kilos.
I know.
That's amazing.
I know. And it looks really high. And it is. And I had to give it a little bit more thought when I come to stop to put my feet down on the ground, but you just get used to it. It's not too bad. It's not horrible. I can still get my feet down on the floor, but it just threw me a little bit when I came to stop.
This might be the lower seat version. I believe you can get a low seat for them.
Yeah, although it'd have to be very thin. Now, looking at the bike, doesn't it look sweet?
I've just come back.
Does my bum look big in this?
Yeah, it's the case that make your bum look big, mate.
Oh God. Really, really like it. Now, even though it is quite high, when you go to get on the bike, obviously it's really high, isn't it? But now I understand why these people that use these off-road bikes and bikes that can go off-road and this sort of style do that. You see how it went down?
Wow.
So you could actually then get on it a lot easier. Now,
that'll be physics, that, won't it? That'll be the weight of the bike.
I knew I should have paid attention at school. It was a long time ago and I've lost all that anyway. Now, the first time I sat on the bike, I thought, oh, this seat's going to be really, really uncomfortable because it's just like a bit of a slab, isn't it, really? But do you know what? Riding around, see how much give that is. And because it's the right width, it cupped my buttocks just nice.
Oh, what kind of a video are we making here?
Je t'aime. No, but I really liked it. When I sat on it, it held my bum and me in just the right place. Because it's so thin, your legs are off the side and they're not kind of putting up with this ridge, which sometimes hurts your thighs. Really, really nice. The seating position when I was sat on it, if I can get on it without making myself look stupid. See how it went down there?
Again.
Now the seating position with the pegs, if you notice that the pegs have got rubbers in them as standard.
Isn't that great?
Which is really good, so you could take them off if you wanted to. But look at that, I'm almost upright like I would be on a BMW Adventure or something like that. So it didn't feel like it was an alien place to be. And this, it might be, I might have a slight angle there, but it felt like I was sat in the best comfortable position I could possibly be. Arms aren't too wide apart, the handlebars are just in the right place, and it's so nice to say, so I'm going to say it. These mirrors, not only do they look good because of the shape, but they're fantastic. I think they're probably
seeing them and all that.
I think they're probably some of the best wing mirrors that I've had on a bike that I've been riding. I set them up really quickly. I've got about that much in the mirror of my arm. The rest is all behind me. They're really, really good.
Wow.
So the visibility is amazing.
You just cut away while you get
Look
off.
at that. I did it like a pro. Right, come round this way, Mark. So we've got a dashboard.
That looks awesome.
Now,
look at that.
the dashboard, I was saying as I was riding that the dashboard's got everything you want. A massive display with it accentuates where it is because it's got this black thing telling you what gear you're in. The rev counter goes up the side so you can see it really easily. You got the time, which isn't that important sometimes, but the biggest thing is that you know how fast you're going, and you've got a fuel gauge there as well. So it's not overly cluttered, and it's really quite strange because I was saying when I was riding that all these new bikes and all these new cars, they're coming out with these fancy screens. Yes, it's really good to have all that information, but is it distracting riders and drivers, or are we going to see that because they're more intent on seeing what's on the screen because it's got too much on there? This fits with the bike, the style of the bike, and what you're going to be using the bike for, but it's got just the right information without taking any of your concentration off. Yeah, it's really good. I love it. It looks like something out of Star Wars, doesn't it? Like a rugged, I don't know, navy thing that you'd have strapped to yourself somewhere that's on the bike. I really like it.
Your imagination's running away with you, man. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, I'm a dreamer. So up front below that, we've got, just down here, we've got a power outlet, which is really good. So you could put sat nav and stuff on there. And I think that that's a blanker, so you could put another one in there if you wanted to. Like with any bike, thinking, well, that screen's not going to be very good. One of the best screens I've had, other than the fact that the spray of the road went over my visor. So it's clearly not stopping everything coming over, but no buffeting.
Maybe it's coming up from underneath.
Could be, but no buffeting. It was really quite pleasant to be sat on the bike with that air coming over you. Really quite nice. It's got a 16 litre tank.
Wow.
So, like many of the other bikes, they'll go on and on forever. I don't think you'd be filling up very, very often, unless you're riding it like a hooligan. I don't know, but it's the same with any bike.
Say 16 litre, you know, and you're looking at the GSs and things like that, and the Africa Twin, they've got 24 litre tanks. You know? You can only go so far before your bum gets sore.
Yeah, definitely, and it's good to have coffee stops and relax, isn't it? With this bike, it has a 50-50 weight distribution.
Wow.
I know. Some would say, well, what's that all about? So I'll tell you. The 50-50 weight distribution is obviously 50 front, 50 back. And the first thing that Yamaha told the sales people that were going to go and sell it was it makes it easier to wheelie. So I'm going to really upset a lot of people now when they're going to expect me to get on the right bike and then wheelie up and down the road, because it ain't happening, because I'll trash it. However, we were saying, well, why would they make it easier to wheelie? Lots of people will go out and just wheelie anyway. I would never do it because I just think it's dangerous on the road, unless you know you've got to have skill to be able to do it. But if you're using this bike as an off-road hack or taking it green laning, how often do people that do that have to get over stuff? And if they've made that distribution right in the middle to make it easier to wheelie, to get over things is going to be much easier, isn't it?
Yep.
The suspension is really soft. on the front and the back. So when you're stopping, I mean, that's got a lot of travel, but
there's a reason for that.
There's a reason for it, for off-roading and all that good stuff. However, it didn't have hardly any impact when I was riding at all.
Right.
Because you're not jamming your front brake on, and coming to a stop, I wasn't doing that at all. It was really, really well balanced. Really well balanced. So, lights.
Lights.
Camera.
To lights, I'm assuming you can get luggage for this. You must be able to get luggage for it, because if it's billed as a tourer as well, you know.
Yeah,
so.
I think so. I mean, the good things are that it's got points, much like the other bike that you might see in a future video, has got points to strap stuff on. But if you've got things like rock straps and things, they'll go around there easily and strap things on there. So, and you can take a pillion, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't know about people, you guys out there watching this video, but I don't like the idea of taking a pillion. One, because I don't like the responsibility of having that person on the back.
Like people.
Well, yeah, no, that's like reason 50. But the other reason is that why would I want to share this bike with anybody else?
That's just selfish.
Well, yeah, totally selfish. You know, a bike does everything, doesn't it? You open the garage and you see it and it makes you smile. It's not just about riding, but when it's riding, it's all about you and the bike, not you, somebody else in the bike, is it?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Therapy's coming on then.
yeah, very, very well. So, lights, as you would imagine on here, are they not on?
No, because the engine's not running. Just before you switch them on, because they're going to blind the camera.
Yeah.
Look at those sexy old beasts there, look. Can you see them?
They're almost like the Kia have got, haven't they?
They're 4 LED
bulbs.
Bulby things.
Yeah, like bulbous. Oh. Look at that.
So if I do it from the side, you'll be able to see them.
Look at that flashing.
I think they're really, really cool.
And it sounds good as well.
It
It sounds very, very nice. Yeah, so we got bulbs all around apart from the LEDs on the front. And I feel a little bit confident about this. If you were to take it off-road and drop it, I don't think it's going to end up with that much damage. I think it's going to, because it's built quite ruggedly, I think it's going to stand up to the test of time, really. Really like it. Nice tyres on this one. They're more, well, they're kind of like a crossover, aren't they? Roady and off-roady type tyres, but really smooth to ride. The sound of it when you're pulling away, and it's really weird. My bike's got 125 brake horsepower and this has got 84 kilowatts of power. I don't know how that converts, but we'll put it up. But when you pull away, it's got buckets of power. Buckets of power. Front wheel, really big, presumably so that when you're off-road, it's easier to manoeuvre. I didn't find that gave me any issue while I was riding at all. And as standard, these people are thinking about protecting stuff. I know it's only plastic, but they're thinking of protecting things. They got a radiator guard underneath there as well, which is, you know, it's things that I think we should have on every bike.
And is that a proper steel belly pan? Aluminium, sorry. Look at that.
The knock test says it all. Yeah, proper belly pan, really nice engine. I can't say much more about it really, because it's just one of those bikes that, I don't know, it put a massive smile on my face, and I didn't think that it would do that. That's the biggest surprise for me. You know, like when I took the sports bikes out and I thought, why on earth would people have it? I know now. I never thought that about this because it's never been on my radar to even think about riding. I don't know why, but now I've ridden it. I don't know.
I've had 4 Teneres of different descriptions. I absolutely love them.
Really, really nice bike. So, the only thing that's left to say is I've left my BMW in the car park. Should we just go home?
Wow, that's a statement.
I really, really like it. Really like it. And I feel quite confident doing just to work. I'd have a go at off-roading on this or green laning. I'd really like to do that. But I'd also take it on a bit of a tour as well and see how I got on.
Excellent.
Really liked it. Anyway, enough about me saying how much I like it, because I'm now going to ride it at home. Not. If you like the video, give it a massive thumbs up. Click the subscribe button, which will be somewhere, and we'll see you in the next video.